Really, truly nothing prepares you for how you get, like when you were postpartum and sleep deprived.
Welcome to Not Right Now, the podcast about parenting through all of this. Because I'm exhausted, which is perfect for today. You know, as opposed to my other podcast, doing this one as organically as possible in the conditions we describe is pretty important. You know?
Yes, I have a $1 million idea that I can put out there for people to listen to.
Yeah, please, by all means.
Okay. It's called Play It Again Fancy, and it's inspired by, do you guys have Play It Again Sports out there? Do you have that company?
Oh, yeah, the used, yeah, I got to go there, actually. We need some new catcher's gear. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is inspired by May crowning, the Catholic ceremony tomorrow that I just learned the hard way that I'm apparently the only mother in my grade who is not excited about. It is an event, a Catholic rite that I'm not familiar with, but it is a big deal tomorrow. That is like short day at school, dress up and bring a bouquet of flowers. And I made a witchy comment and misread the room because I was sort of complaining about it. And other folks were like, it's my favorite day. And I was like, oh, shit. But part of it is that my sons are just like not nicely dressed kids. It's just not a priority for me to have them have nice clothes and shoes and all that stuff on hand. But I'm not confident in that. I always think like maybe if I made different decisions, I'd be someone who had like a nicely turned out child all the time. Anyway, all that is to say, Play It Again Fancy is a store where you can take your child's like once worn dress up shoes that they wore for one wedding and then instantly outgrew. So it'll be like Play It Again Sports. So you can get like a pair of dress up shoes for $5 or whatever and turn your dress up clothes in for store credit. So let's make that happen.
I think that's great. There was a company, organization, boy, I don't know if it survived. And this is back to when we were having kids. Same thing, but for like maternity clothes. Anyways. Yeah, I have to go to a 4th grade recorder concert.
Oh boy, so much tooting. I hope they play Hot Cross Buns.
I'm sure they will. I had a question for you about that. One, have you seen my children introduced to me? And I'm such a dick about it. They're like, can I show you the YouTube of the person playing recorder? And I'm always such an asshole. I'm always like, how the fuck are you on YouTube? They're like, I was trying to share something with you. So I thought of you. And what a fucking dickhead. Anyways, I'll find the link to it. It's incredible. It's a kid, I'm assuming a child, playing a recorder, but it's the Mission Impossible theme, and it's so bad. Oh. It's very funny. But my second question, what's the worst instrument your child could choose to play? You can answer objectively, but also for your children, if you'd like, in your preferences. Is there a different answer?
I think anything with a reed, I would presume, because there's so much spit involved. Anything with the spit valve, that's what I'm thinking.
That's all the woodwinds. You're knocking those all out.
Yeah, if anyone who was listening went to school with me, there's a really iconic rendition of a kid in my grade school playing Silent Night on the trombone at the school Christmas concert. And the cool moms, like who are my moms, like and her friends, like could not stop laughing and like smothering their laughter. So anyway, and now in retrospect, you're like, but well, what an angel. He tried really hard. Like who would laugh at him? But anyway, I just think
Do you think that's the guy outside my window every day? I've told you about the trombone guy, right?
No.
In the middle of Colonial Williamsburg that plays the trombone all fucking day in like the busker spot. And I think it's really influenced. Again, I grew up playing music in orchestras. I played percussion, which, as you know, now my oldest child chose percussion. I said, it's never going to get you laid. No one's going to ask you to play percussion at a party. Like there's no like Spanish flamenco, but there's also not like sensual saxophone. That's a woodwind. That's a win. That could mean something to somebody. But trombone, like, isn't going to do it. I'm losing my mind.
No, the more I think about it, the more thankful I am that I don't there's no spit valve in my life like that. I still remember the time during COVID when COVID was like max COVID and like you couldn't go anywhere without a mask. I didn't have a mask and I put on a mask that my child had already worn. And that was one of the like top 3 facial smell experiences that like the worst of my life. So
I don't need to hear the rest of those. That's horrible. We used to play a game when our kids had the clear little, remember they'd have the little water bottles before they kind of graduated?
Yeah.
And they were clear and had the little sucky straw thing that you'd bite on. And we used to, you know, like the end of a day, there would be residue in them and water. And I used to show it to Dana because again it was clear and you could see chunks of things in it. I'd say, real answer, how much do I have to pay you to drink that from the same spout? And Yeah, it's a hard one because
Yeah.
the answer is probably you couldn't.
No, a friend of mine, even before we had kids, she told me about a disease that she and her sister talked about with regard to their little sister called baby mouth, where it's, anything that a baby's mouth has touched is instantly poisoned. So that is a bad case of baby mouth. And yeah, it's pretty disgusting. Anyway, yeah, my older son plays guitar, and on the one hand, he practices for maximum, I would say 15 minutes a week total.
Mm.
But I am reluctant to make him work harder because I can hear the improvement. It's the point of just like making him resent it more.
This recorder concert been coming for months, and she's like, "Hey, are you gonna come?" I was like, "Of course." Like wild horses couldn't keep me away. Yada yada. All this. I said, "Do you feel prepared?" And again, like trying to make it fun, build the confidence. She's like, "Yeah, I mean, obviously we practice at school all the time." I said, "I thought you only had music like once a week." She's like, "Yeah, but practice at home too." And I said, "Do you?" She said, "Yeah, no, obviously." I said, "'Cause your home recorder, as you described it, has been, like, on my dresser for 6 fucking months. Whatever you're telling yourself is not true." And I've done it. We all do it, I gotta swim in an ocean in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna tell myself I'm prepared, like, I haven't swam since the last ocean. I've been tapering since the last one. So whatever, I guess you gotta tell yourself to get by.
If only there was an app. Maybe there is some kind of app that you don't know about where she is practicing. It's like Duolingo, but for a recorder.
They've got
And
music. Duolingo's got music now, and they do like it, but I don't think it's not this.
no, by the way, we don't have to talk about this now, especially because I don't have any thoughts on it, but we need to talk about how more people are getting, I guess, addicted to and becoming psychotic after talking to Chat GPT too much. And I'm like, that's a new thing to worry about. I'm
Great.
already worried about my son going to college. Well, first of all, let's assume he lives that long and doesn't go to jail.
A
But
lot of assumptions here.
the idea of his own time management with a computer, and I always worry about gambling. I'm sorry, not to be not fun, but I think gambling is a huge, like sports
Oh, it's
gambling is a
amazing. Here's a commercial, and at the bottom, they're like, "If you're already fucked up, call
yeah.
this number immediately."
Did you see the commercial during the NCAA that was like, "Don't hassle the players if you lost your bet out to
Great
them"? And I
work,
was like,
everybody.
I'm
Great
glad that
work.
was a commercial. But yeah, but now I'm like, I can totally see a college kid going to school and making no friends, and then being in their dark room talking to their sexy computer wife,
Mhm.
who
Mhm.
will only
Mhm.
tell them everything that you say is right. Anyway,
I'll send you the New York Magazine article just came out this week about how GPT has completely fucked higher education, which
great.
yeah,
Everyone's cheating. Yeah, I think I saw that one. And
yeah.
it was kind of sad because my older one, who's usually like the good one,
Is he objectively good or is it relative?
I mean, what is objective? Let's just say he's more compliant. He like
That's
more
such a great
compliant.
corporate word.
Yeah.
He's got synergy.
Yeah, exactly. He never asked for a raise. But we have a good understanding. You know what I mean? He doesn't tend to rock the boat. I made the mistake of forgetting to take away his laptop while Steve was out of town, and I opened the door to wake him up, and he was on his computer. And it's one of those things where I don't need to, like, he knows he's fucked. Like,
Yep.
he's fucked up the second I look at him. Anyway, so we were talking about it the other day, and I was like, I should have just taken it from your room. And he was kind of confessing, like, his inability to, like, be off the computer. And I was like, I'm not mad at you. I can't blame you. I'm like, I know exactly what you go through. I feel the same way. So,
We try to be really specific and brutally honest about that. Like when we have the same things, we're like, one, it's not your fucking fault, nor is it the parents' fault. Like the fact that we're the ones fending this shit off is ridiculous, but like we all struggle with the same shit. So the difference is I've had it for longer and I had a life without them,
yeah.
which makes me want to throw mine in the fucking ocean every day.
Yeah.
I don't want it. And I don't think a lot of times they want it either. Anyways, it's a whole fucking thing.
No, it
But
totally is.
it speaks to bedtime because it does fuck them up, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, the research goes back and forth. I'm like, I don't fucking care, man. I'm worried about my house and
Yeah.
like what my kids' friends are. They functional people? Because I would like them to be because they're good kids and it's a fucking nightmare. So let's talk about sleep, which I feel like we could weave into everything. And yeah, I'm exhausted. I have a journal app I've been using for 15 years, very intermittently, called Day One. It's fantastic. Is it digital? Of course, but I do it. Well, as much as I'll do it. And I send screenshots to my friend, and they are just single line entries from the past 15 years that just say, tired.
Mhm.
And I'll show you a collage of these. It's incredible. You could pick a date, and it's just me having written that. And it doesn't matter if my kids are all under 4 or
Mhm.
now, it's just tired. And he sent me a message this morning that said, Why am I still so tired? It's like one night of halfway decent sleep didn't solve all my problems. I guess the big question is it possible to feel good? I don't know at this point.
Right. Well, sleep versus mornings are two very different things. And so I
Yep.
don't think like the world's best night of sleep is necessarily going to make you wake up and be like, I'm really glad
I'm alive.
another day of, well, like for instance, I brought some dishes to the sink and I looked in the sink and some child had dumped a mostly full bowl of frosted mini wheats in the sink. And, it's soaked up all the water,
Do you know
so
how angry I would be? Because one, I don't buy them that kind of poison shit, but I would enjoy it and they would enjoy it. And so I would like to be like the fun dad, like Dana was unexpectedly gone for a couple days. Like that's a little thing I'm trying to do more of. Let me do a fun thing.
oh yeah.
And if they dumped it in the fucking sink, I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know what it took for me to get over my bullshit to buy you this dumb box of fucking cereal?
Yeah, that was like the third string fun cereal because while Steve was gone, I bought Lucky Charms and Frosted Flakes. Sorry, Quinn, don't cancel me. Because I was like, maybe they'll make their own breakfast, and they did.
Great. No, that's a hack.
No amount of sleeping well will make you be like, that was sweet. What a charming little task. How did you sleep last night? Let's kick off with that.
Dana came home late from LA, which was very kind of her. She came back a little earlier than she thought she would and could, and sacrificed a lot of her own sleep to do that, to be there for the kids and to make sure she makes the recorder concert today.
Hmm.
And so I bounced between being a deep sleeper and a light sleeper, but I don't know. She got back at, I don't even know, like 12:30 or whatever. So I'm sure I was up during that and I had to pee 3 times. That's not bad. None of the kids were up last night that I remember, which is great.
Okay.
That's what really fucks me up because I
Yeah.
have a hard time going back to sleep. I find if I actually pick up my Kindle, like I can read a little bit and go back to sleep, but it was fine. It hasn't been great lately, definitely. And that really adds up in the aggregate. Again, like I can't catch up.
Are you one of those people who is like really diligent about your sleep hygiene at this time of your life where you are like screens off, like in my bed, cool room, or devil may care?
Yeah, you sent me a message that said, ask Dana tonight to report on whether you're an easy person to share a bedroom with or whether she has notes. And she said, this is amazing. She said, besides your need to have 36 pillows on your bed, which is an exaggeration, you're a great person to sleep with. She said, you do like to keep the room at a temperature that could kill me if I, given the wrong circumstances, forget to wear socks. But other than that, no notes. So listen, it's not 36 pillows. What I've developed, I guess working backwards, is, and it's different when she's gone. It's a little more exaggerated because I have to recreate her in the aggregate with pillows. We are a couple that actually likes physical contact during the night, and I realize that goes against most people. It just works better for us, which is great. So I'm a side sleeper mostly. Doesn't matter the side. My body's so broken I have to rotate anyways. My sleep's shitty from that. Everything hurts. The best night of sleep I ever get's when I take 3 Advil. I treat myself like once or twice a week. It's great. So on one side, I have a foam pregnancy pillow, body pillow that I took from her like 12 years ago. It's made the move across the country. It's very important. There's another pillow that I don't actually sleep on unless she needs much more room to sleep on some given night, in which case I go over there. It's basically never been used, but it's there as an emotional support pillow. Under my head is one like very firm foam pillow with a neck cradle, but I don't actually use it. There's another pillow on top of that because I get acid reflux sometimes. That's a foam one, and it's very specific. I think it's, what does it say? Easy breather? I'll figure out what it is. It's very specific. And then there's a thinner but still foam pillow between my knees. And now I've added a nice little treat, a really soft little one for between my feet.
I have various machines and gadgets as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, we can talk about the machine, but we haven't even gotten to that. I do keep it like exceptionally cold. I've always done that. Like when I was at Colgate, I'd sleep with the window open when it was like 0 degrees. I mean, you could call it dangerous. There's 3 blankets because it needs to be cozy as fuck. Again, these blankets we fucking love, all from a woman in LA named Carrie Castle. They're these wonderful quilts. And they're very breathable, but also very snuggly. I don't remember where their sheets are from. We use, right now, we're sleeping on one of those avocado mattresses, so it's not giving you cancer the whole time. They're very fucking comfortable. They're really great. I think there's a couple different versions. A friend used to work there. They do good shit. And then we've got one of those, I think this guy's a fucking MAGA guy, but I don't really care. It's an 8 sleep machine. Have you heard of this thing? So we're both very hot sleepers. It's a water-filled pad that goes on your bed attached to what looks like a CPAP machine on the side. And you can set the temperature. You can even split on different sides of the bed. And you can make it cool if you needed to. Supposedly adjusts throughout the night. I don't give a fuck about that. Make it as cold as I can. So that's the final piece of my routine. Other than that, No phone in the room really for me. As dark as we can get it, cold as we can get it. Ceiling fan always on high, 24/7. Doesn't matter the day of the year, Christmas or the height of summer. Sound machine, old school sound machine, and my Kindle on night mode.
And what about your dog?
Oh, I have a slight dog allergy, which is
Mm,
fine, except for they're like, don't sleep in a fucking room with it. That's just closed
sure.
air. So she sleeps
Okay.
in another room, much to the chagrin of Dana.
You sound like my younger son, just in that he white noise machine, sleep
Mhm.
mask,
Mhm.
fan on low, turtle. Do you have one of those turtles you turn on a, constellation on the ceiling?
The kids had one at one point. I can't have that shit. I need it to be pitch black.
Well, he creates a wall out of his stuffed animals and covers it with a blanket so that kind of, it gives him like a Temple Grandin sort of
Clearly, I
effect.
mean, that's clearly what I fucking described for me. Dana came back at one point and I had done all that and then recreated the other side as her. And she pulled back the blanket and it was all still there. I had made the bed and she was like, oh my God. I'm like,
Oh, I
sorry.
mean, baby boys need hugs. Yeah, and the wall always has to be constructed in a certain way, like the dinosaur goes here and the
Mhm.
panda goes there, and then like one sleeping buddy, like who is like his main guy.
How much did you influence that? Or is that something he developed over time on his own?
I think on his own, I certainly don't do the wall thing, although we all have, like, I have a sleeping pillow, like a hugging pillow I've always had. So, I don't begrudge anyone like a comfort item, but I don't need like a whole. It's funny because we used to say that, I mean, going back in time, like James has had more historical sleep issues. Like Paul, kind of just like I said, compliant. I remember when we told him, you're moving from a crib to the bed. Here's your bed, go to sleep. Okay, night, lights out, no
Oh,
problem.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
But our older one used to do this thing called headbanging. And if you Google my name and headbanging, I wrote a blog about this because it was so disturbing. And of course, if you Google it, like the only answers are like sociopath, autism, put him in a facility
Mm-hmm.
ASAP. And
Mm-hmm.
like he would bang his head and it wasn't like a comfort thing, but as a baby, he would bang his head so insistently that he would like seek out the side of his crib. And we have pictures of him. He would get like a sore, like an open wound on his head
Mm.
because he like for some reason. So anyway, he kind of does a little bit now. We sort of joke about it. I think he can control it. But, those were very different things where on the one hand, you're like, this one kid won't stay in bed. And the other hand, this other one, we're like, are you trying to like open up your head, like and expose your brain? What is going on? Everyone brings their own adventure. That's for sure.
How early did that start for him? And do you think you caused it?
Oh, yeah, I caused it because I had drinks during pregnancy,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That started probably well, he was big enough to hold his head, like, he was probably just, like, maybe 4 or 5 months, like, he was
Wow.
pretty little, yeah.
And how long did it continue?
Well, he'll still kinda sometimes do it, like, you'll hear him maybe humming a little tune or, kind of droning a little bit in his room, and we actually ended up buying him a bed frame from IKEA because I found one that had a soft, like a soft headboard, and so
Mm-hmm.
I was like
Mm-hmm.
but, I mean, if you go around the world enough and you ask normal people, like, I feel like everyone has, like, a brother who did that. I have one friend, Lauren, who was, like, one of my best girlfriends because, first of all, Paul was very little when he was born. I think he was, like, 5.5, 6 pounds, which, like, kinda gave me a complex. And she was like, "I was that size too." And she's like, "Look at me now." And she's a full grown person who's also a doctor. And she also talked about headbanging too. And she's like, "I love it." She's like, "It was the best." But it's kind of funny now to talk about it with Paul. Be like, "Did you do any headbanging last night?"
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll pretend to do it too. And so it's nice that we can talk about it as opposed to being terrified that he is, demonic or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
I mean, still might be. You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, biding his time. Who of your kids was it, like, right out the gate, like, you guys realized that your sleep was never gonna be the same, or was it, like, the subsequent kids that really showed you, like, how your life is gonna be different now sleep-wise?
It's both a very simple and a complicated answer. So the simple answer is Dana didn't love the idea of or the experience of like maternity leave not working as it was. I mean, she worked on our honeymoon, so that was an early indication. But she was running a TV show and had to go back to work 2 weeks after our first kid was born. So we did get a night nurse, which was super helpful because again, she had to go back and this child had to survive. And so Fox like begrudgingly pulled up like a trailer behind the lot in Century City, Los Angeles. So Dana could pop out there and feed this child. And then I would drive him home through the Los Angeles traffic at 5:30 because what we did was like the world's most regimented sleep routines. And for all three of our kids, the short story is, or as the kids say, TLDR semicolon, it fucking worked. Sleep
Mhm.
does, at least for our kids, sleep did beget sleep. And the grandmas were not pleased. They were like, this is fucking ridiculous. It's so much sleep. I think they also felt like it was constrictive, but it fucking worked. And our kids,
Mhm.
because their sleeping and eating was so predictable, there weren't a lot of questions about, are they just randomly upset about whatever the fuck? Like they're tired when they were supposed to be tired and hungry and all that. And again, was it restrictive and annoying? For sure, especially like going around town. You just couldn't do a lot of shit. But basically it was, for a long time, the child would wake up 6-ish, and this was like post fucking sleep training, which we can talk about. Child would wake up 6-ish. We had a bunch of like little board books in their fucking crib so that they could to get around with them, even if they didn't know they had hands yet. We would
Mhm.
get them at 6:45, 7, boob or bottle, or eventually food. At 9, it was nap time from 9 to 10. So again, boob or bottle, sleep for an hour. Up at 10, fuck around for an hour and a half, lunch and bottle or whatever, and then nap from 12 to 4.
Whoa.
And I know. And then again, up for like hour and a half, and then dinner and boob or bottle at 5:45, and they would sleep from 6 to 6. Now, it didn't always go that way. Of course, we had plenty of night. And again, this is all after sleep training shit, which we did
Mhm.
fully. And did it nearly break us? Like, of course. Like, I wrote a whole movie scene about how two people almost killed each other over it. Like, hormones, you're exhausted, you're killing the child, whatever. Work for them. And again, sleep begets sleep. It worked. They were pretty healthy. We were lucky to be able to do it. We tried to, bite the bullet and really just commit to it. Was it hard? Because we had 3 under 3 at one time. So they were all kind of going through all that shit at the same time. Yeah, but it made our schedules more predictable. It did, I think, help them sleep. They liked going to sleep. We did, various tools and tricks, which I'm sure have changed in the past 12 years. My kids really loved those, those sleep sacks.
Oh, yeah.
I swear, my youngest, I feel like he was in it until he's like 6. He was just like, fuck yeah, this is so cozy.
Did you ever do the Merlin suit? It's like a big snow suit that they sleep in, and it was
No,
for
but I'll buy one for me.
it was for when your baby was too big. Your baby was big enough that they would bust out of their suit, but when they would jerk, the suit holds them down a little bit, basically, and it's adorable and hilarious. But God, I can't. One of those things that like flies through your life, but at the moment you realize this is gonna fix all my fucking problems.
Well, it's like the zipper of the Velcro swaddle when you realize like you don't have to subscribe to that 1800 shit and you just Velcro you just
Why
lock
did
them
I
up in
do
there.
that?
It's
Why did
fucking,
I
those
do
things are
that?
life. I send them to everybody
I
whenever they
can't
have a
even
kid.
wrap a burrito. I don't know why I thought I could,
Right, baby who is clearly born 3 months too early, doesn't know they have
Yeah.
fucking hands, can't do anything. Meanwhile, like a deer pops out and it just walks around and eats fucking day one.
Yeah.
That was it, and we committed to it for a long time. The kids, they kept to that middle of the day nap for a long time, and that was great for us. It seemed like great
Mhm.
for them. We eventually transitioned it into quiet time. Hey,
Mhm.
listen, now we've come to rely on that time. Fuck off. You got to stay in your room. I don't care if you sleep or not. And again, sometimes, most of the time, we do the thing where we treat them like adults, even though they're not, obviously, in various capacities. But we try to stick with, and we do this in the mornings as well. You get to be tired at night
Mhm.
or in the morning or whatever. Hopefully, it's at quote unquote the right time. Yeah, you're supposed to be tired when you're brushing your teeth. You don't want to. This is great. Your body's ready to do this. You don't get to be a dickhead. And that's a hard one to learn when you're 7, 8, 9, or 42, right?
Yes.
So, because sometimes you just fucking want to be, but we just try to encourage them. We're not trying to say don't be tired or whatever. Totally get it.
Yeah.
But we're also trying to get to the point where you're responsible for your fucking, if you read until late, I get it. I did it. I still sometimes do it. It's not going to feel great the next day.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where we are
Yeah.
at this point. But we don't do any devices in the rooms at all. They've got those little hatch alarm clock fucking things that I can program. It's mostly because they kept fucking with the settings on all the other ones I had, and I had to reset their clocks 4 times a week, and I was like, I'm not doing
Sure.
it. So took that away. And they got, yeah, fans, sound machines. I keep it cold as fuck. And yeah, just books. We don't even do
Mhm.
really like toys in the rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't remember what stage of life this was, but there's a certain point after the kids were born that I told Steve, I was like, let's stop talking about how tired we are first thing in the morning because, like,
Yeah.
let's just take it for granted that we are tired because complaining about being tired is a real drag. So let's just assume we're tired.
Last thing about me. Have I told you the story the first time our oldest slept through the night? Did I mention this to you?
No, did you think he was dead?
It didn't occur to me. We had a little house up in the Hollywood Hills, and his bedroom Well, the spare room was right next to our bedroom. And, you know, that first night, you wake up and don't realize you hadn't gotten up, right?
Mhm.
And then you suddenly go, "Oh my god." And we come out of our room and we're so excited. It's our first kid. We tried so hard for so long, all this. He slept through the night. I know like his crib is inches from the door. We're so close to how did this
Mhm.
go? And I go to open the door and Danny goes, "Don't do that yet." I said,
Yeah.
"Why not?" She goes, "Oh, well, he's dead." I said, "Excuse me?" She's like, "He's dead." So right now it's like Schrodinger's cat. She said, "I'm going to have a coffee because the second I open that door, my whole life's going to change and I need
Yeah.
to have a coffee before that all happens." And I was like, "Holy fucking shit." But okay. So anyways,
Oh, what a great woman.
what about you guys? How did it all go? How did it make its way through to now?
I mean, it was kind of predictable with Paul, our firstborn. If I could do life all over again, if I had the money, I suppose, maybe we did have the money, I just didn't know about it. Like, I would have had a postpartum doula. Like, really, truly, nothing prepares you for how fucked up you get, like, when you were postpartum and sleep deprived. Just the choices, even that you make. Like, I remember my mom, she meant well, but she gave me a baby book in my baby shower. And Paul, I think it was like one of my first or second nights up with him. And for some reason, I think, guess it was 2 a.m. I had nothing to do. I started working on the baby book, and I still remember like tears falling on the baby books, you know, and also being up, like watching the video. We got some baby wrap that was like a 24-foot long piece of fabric, and you had to wrap it, you know, in a certain way so that you can carry your baby around with you. And
Oh God.
watching the DVD of that also, like while Paul was in the crib, you know, it was just very, I guess, like you could write this, you know, you come home, here's your baby, so tiny, put him in this huge crib, and you're like, okay, I guess that's it. Good night, click. And then, you know, instantly starts the crying. And you don't know what you don't know. But like we would basically sleep in the room with him during our shifts so that you
Mm.
could wake up the second he woke up, because I don't know why we did that. With our second kid, we were like, you know what? If we put him to bed and leave the door open and he cries, we'll hear him cry, you know, and he won't die if we sleep for a half an hour while he's crying. He had slept through the night on his third month. Yeah, his exactly 3 months. But with James, I did not breastfeed, which I stand by. And I think it's great in terms of like moms getting more quality sleep wise. But with James, we had more of a system down where I was like, okay, you're going to be on the shift from 8 to 2 or whatever. You switch it up. And so you're guaranteed to get at least 6 hours of sleep or maybe 5, which is pretty good. But the downside was that was when I started like having really bad night sweats. So I felt
Mm.
shortchanged where I was like, we have a system and I could get my sleep, but I keep waking up in this like pool of sweat. So that was a bummer. But yeah, we didn't have, in retrospect, like colic. Steve thought, he's like, I think Paul might have colic. I'm like, I don't think he does. Cause if he did, he wouldn't say, I think. Like we would be at the doctor's. Like, shit. Did any of your kids have anything like that?
We had like croup at times, and you got to put him in the shower and then cold air and then, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I mean, we had a variety of
But they
shit.
didn't have the panicky, exhaustive crying where you're
Mm.
like, there's something wrong with this child. Like, we need to figure out what's wrong with it.
Short answer, I'm sure there's things I'm forgetting or have blacked out.
Hmm.
Longer answer, I don't think so, but oh
Hmm.
God, I don't fucking know.
So you guys never did co-sleeping?
Okay, so this was my thing, and it was kind of this is how I was with the dog in the bed as well. So I was like, absolutely fucking not. We're just not doing it. I need my space. I'm fine to do this. I'm excited, be a dad, be up in the middle of the night. We got to do what we got to do. Like we're exhausted, this and this, but like our room and our bed is ours. It was a fight for a long time, but yeah, I needed it.
A fight between you and Dana? I presume if she was breastfeeding, she probably was like, it's easier for me to just
100% you
drink.
turn over in the
Yeah.
boobs right there. I totally get it. But I was just like, it's got to be. And I still feel this way with our kids now. Well, they'll just walk in our bedroom. I'm like, I don't remember just like walking into my parents' bed. It's like that theme, like one doesn't just walk into Mordor. My kids just come in. I'm like, fucking turn around and knock and try again. Or also just don't come in. But anyways, that's a different thing. I just needed one place in the fucking house that was ours. But it's amazing. So I asked my buddy Drew, he was a sub captain, and he was gone for so much of his kids' lives. By the way, when I told that story last time, he started listening to the podcast as he was like driving to work, and he's like, "Nothing makes me feel better about my life choices than hearing my best friend
Good.
fucking recount them to the world." Anyways, so he was really gone for 6 or 7 years. He would come back on weekends when he could, but he sent me this thing this morning. He has 3 kids, and now they're 14, 12, and 9. So when I first moved back home, I went through a couple weeks of cycling between all 3 kids' floors while they fell asleep, which parents do
Oh,
that, chair, floor, end of the bed. But he said I routinely took 3 hours every night. My phone was almost too hot to hold at the end. He said, "You think it's a phase, and then you realize it's not." It finally stopped when I told them I would never lay down in their room again, and then they magically didn't need it. He said, "But one of them still sleeps with my wife every other night,
oh
and I take
God.
that opportunity to go to bed early in the guest room, and it's delightful." What about you guys?
Well, it's funny. There's a famous story about how my parents, it was the 70s, back when, I don't know if anyone else has parents who are like still defensive to this day about like how they put you to sleep face down, because that was what they did back then,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
but my parents sleep trained me the day I came home, which is not like something that's done anymore. It might explain a few
Fuck
things.
this kid. You're
Yeah,
not yeah.
exactly. They're like, we're getting you on a schedule. I don't care if
God,
you
that's
like
outstanding.
were
You're, like, still
inside.
slimy. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to emulate that, but I did come out very like being like, I believe in sleep health. I don't believe in, crossing the streams, like crossing the borders. And again, the not breastfeeding, I think probably helped that. But maybe because of this like extreme sleep training, I love sleep. I am a good sleeper. I don't tend to wake up in the middle of the night, especially now that I stopped drinking. And I think that when I was so shell shocked by the sleep deprivation, I was like, why would you voluntarily make this worse? But I remember like the weird battle between friends, and moms who like, and parents who didn't sleep train and the ones who did like co sleep, because it is so personal. And I think it
Oh my
speaks to
god.
like what you fear most about yourself as a parent, where it's basically like, if you don't let your kids in your bed, like you are a cold person and you only care about yourself and you're
Mhm.
like pushing them away. But then also, if you do let your kids come sleep in your bed, you have no boundaries, like
Never gonna
you're
end. Yeah.
maybe creepy.
Mhm.
But it's so strange because it's like it shouldn't matter to you at all what other people do, but you're always wondering, like,
Oh.
did I do the wrong thing? I have a friend whose kids still sleep in her room with her, and my kids are welcome in my bed, but not during sleep hours. You can come in the morning and read with me, or in the
Mhm.
evening. I have a machine called a bed jet because I sweat when I sleep because of
Mhm.
perimenopause. Like, they
Mhm.
can dry you off, but also warm you up or cool you down. And so
Mm.
Paul will like to get in bed with me and we'll read together, like with the dog, and we'll make the sheets nice and toasty, but
Great.
then off to the office, go to your place.
But when it's time for business, it's get the fuck out?
Yeah, we have business to attend to. We need to sleep, and James in particular, we've been on a more of a journey with, because he has ADHD, took a long time to get that diagnosed. I remember, oh man, we ended up putting a lock on his door for a while, which made me feel like parent of the year, of course. Like,
Yeah.
it's even so like medieval basically, but
Yeah.
like he would pop out of his room and come turn the lights on in your bedroom while you were sleeping. You're like, I will fucking destroy you. We put a lock on his door. I remember making the mistake of mentioning that on Facebook and Gen Pop. And one woman,
Oh,
yeah, I still remember like
what?
the old lady who's like, I would be worried about whether the house was on fire if you could get to him. And I was like, well, we live on a 4-lane busy street. How do you feel about him walking at the front door?
On
Like,
any given fucking moment. Right.
yeah,
Are your guns secure? Right.
right, exactly. And then we went through a whole melatonin phase, which is, I still don't,
Oh, yeah. Fucking
and
turns out, yeah.
I now we give him a medicine called clonidine in the evening that allegedly helps him, because he used to pop out of bed and come confess, usually to Steve because he's nicer than me, but he like couldn't sleep. Hey, just like read a book. Why do you have to tell us that you can't sleep? At least he stays asleep. So yeah, we're always trying to control him with a lock or a pill. And I'm sure that he will end up, who knows, murdering us in our sleep the way we deserve. But we're like, when the kid is up and you can't sleep and you're panicking because you start speeding ahead to how shitty the next day is going to be, that's when like my heart is spiraling, as a
Yeah, the
parent.
anxiety just adds up, and it's such a fucked up circle because you're exhausted, which makes it worse, and you're anxious, it's gonna make it worse than the next day. I mean, there's still mornings where Dana and I wake up, look at each other, and go, "Okay, exactly how many hours till we can get back in bed?"
Oh,
Because this
yeah.
is gonna be a fucking disaster of a day.
Do you know how often I think I'm going to get to bed early and then my excitement over it being bedtime, like kind of overrides it. So I end up staying up
Fascinating.
later because I'm like, what? Fucking yeah, I'm in bed like the way I wanted to be. And then I end up, watching Veep or something like that. But
See, we don't do you have a TV in the room?
I do actually use my laptop.
Oh, what are you doing? Get that the fuck out of there.
I can't see. I need something closer to my face.
I'm telling you, the Kindle or whatever, the Kobo, if you fucking hate Amazon, because fuck them, with the night screen, it's fantastic. I've got it down. I think I'm at 12 brightness and 4 warmth and night mode. It's fantastic.
I
Or
find nothing
backwards.
more delicious than falling asleep in front of a show that I love. Like, there's nothing
Totally,
better.
but you can do that in a separate. If you're gonna take it seriously, you got to get the laptop. There's too many options.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I got a system and I feel like it's
No, I
well
get it.
deserved.
It's fine. It's fine. But by bringing it up here, though, you're opening it up to
I know.
criticism.
All
I mean,
right.
I have my psychopathic pillows. I totally get it. No, I get
Yeah.
it. I mean, my kids are like, I could get in bed with you once, and I just go back. And again, this amazing night nurse we had, and I remember her once. Dana had a baby. I don't fucking strapped to her going on a walk, and it was one of those like religiously set nap times. And night nurse looked at her so chill, and she goes, "Oh, where are you going?" "Oh, I thought I'd just strap him on and I go for a walk and he can nap on me." And she's like, "Cool. Are you ready to do that every day?" And she's like, "What?" And she goes, "Don't do something you are not
Yeah.
willing to do every day. Because those
Yeah.
motherfuckers, if you give a mouse a cookie, holy shit, man." I had a buddy, one of my first friends in LA. I remember the same thing, like 5, 6-year-old daughter. Every day I said, "Well, you want to get together for this?" He's like, "Oh, I can't. I got to drive." "What do you mean you got to drive?" "Oh, well, my daughter only naps in the car when we take this certain route." And I was like, Jesus Christ. And he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we fucked up."
My cousin, she would have to put her son in his car seat in the crib because he would only fall asleep in the car seat. And if they took him out, it's like dismantling a bomb and it's just not
Yeah.
worth it. Yeah. I wish, I always think about how if I could like revamp parenthood or rebrand it, like I wish it would be illegal to tell parents that you can like control their sleep. Obviously, there's certain things that make more sense. And although to be honest, it's so funny because you will be like, doing all of this geometry and time management and like all these like the shushing and the 4 S's and all of that stuff. And then there's some other family who has got their baby out at 10:30 p.m. at a big party and they seem happy. And you're like, well, what do they know? But like the glimmers of hope are so unhelpful to think if you read this book, and who has time to read a book anyway, about how to make your baby sleep, like this will make your baby sleep.
Yeah. It's funny. My buddy, my original co-host on the other podcast, Brian, he has twins now, twin boys, and they're coming up on a year. And, he got to the point, he asked recently, my friend and I, "Hey, listen, we were on a really good sleep schedule and it was actually going well at night. But now, like, we give them their bottle and they kind of fuck around and they stay awake and this and that. And it drives us crazy." I said, "Well, do they sleep in another room?" He said, "Yeah, I mean, there's 2 of them. We kind of, had to. It's a lot of space." And I said, "Like, how old are they? How much do they weigh?" I'm not a doctor, but you remember the rules, like 11 pounds, sleep training, all this. I was like, fuck them kids. Give them the bottle. You want to stay awake all night? Go fuck
Well,
yourself. Don't let them sleep the next day when they're not supposed to. Don't let them reverse their fucking schedule. I was like, who fucking cares? If they're in another room and they want to fuck around all night, roll around in their crib, fuck them. They're fine.
Yeah.
Did you feed them? Did they shit? Great. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's not your fucking job anymore, man.
Did you ever have the days where your kid was supposed to take a nap and then you heard them beeping and bopping around and then you went up and you realized that they took a big shit right when it was like time to take a nap and then you'd have to like restart?
The other day,
basically?
one of my kids, and they're sort of past this, was like, "Oh God, can you imagine like having poop on yourself?" I said, "Excuse me?" And they said this and this. I was like, you used to not only sit in your own shit yourself and then sit in your own shit, or a 12-pound like hefty bag of piss, but you would sometimes do it that would go so far up your fucking back that it would not only coat your shirt, it would be on your neck, and it would be always on a plane, in a car, 5 minutes into a 4-hour drive, at the beginning of a fucking nap, or right when I fucking sat down. One of my favorite Instagrams ever was someone said, "What they never tell you about parenting is how often you have to get up from where you're sitting." And I was like, God damn it, that's so specific and correct. You think you fucking nailed it and you got him down in the bottle and all this. 20 minutes into it, yeah, what are they doing? And you walk into the room and it's like Saving Private Ryan in their crib.
Yeah.
But shit, it's a fucking nightmare. And I
Yes,
was like, what do you mean you can't imagine being covered in shit?
When your kids are like up at night or can't sleep or whatever, are you nice? Are you kind to them and sweet and rub back, or?
It's 50-50. It depends on if it's a anomaly or if we're in a streak about it. Dana's nicer for sure. She'll just go lay with them more. I'll definitely bail sooner. Well, for her, it's like she can sleep anywhere, anytime because she's so tired that she's all right, I'll get in their bed. She's like, I'm going to sleep too. I'm not gonna sit up and pet their back. She's like, you're getting in the bed. I'm getting in the bed, and we're both going to fucking sleep. Don't fucking
Mm,
talk. I will help you by doing this. Cause she's like, I have to sleep somewhere. Where I'll be much more mechanical about it. Let's go up. Nope, you're gonna try to fall asleep back in your bed because that's a place you know where to sleep. All your shit's in there. You know what's in the room. Our kids are less about scary things or this or that.
mhm.
Sometimes it's like cramps and stuff if they're tired or,
Yeah.
for instance, didn't drink a fucking drop of water during the day. But we've definitely had like more anxiety type stuff, either going to
Mm,
sleep with some of them or during the night, which I'm like, yep, that's every night of being an adult is 2 in the
yeah.
morning. You're up. And I've never had like can't fall asleep for myself. Every night is 2:30 in the morning questioning all my fucking choices. So I try to empathize on that front. So I'll go up and, again, let's get in bed. Let's be good. We have these little like meditation machines. I'll
Mm.
put the link into. They're not cheap, but they're really great. And they can set them themselves. There's only 2 controls. You pick an animal and you pick a situation. And it's what's the one my daughter loves so much? It's a koala in the castle, I think. She
Mhm.
listens to every fucking night. They're great. They are really helpful. Soft little British voice.
I had the highest hopes for Headspace and all this stuff, and, like, I would put on, like, a Sesame Street one for James, and, like, it just didn't work, and it would get to the point where he would, like, have to pause and use the bathroom, have to come and pause the
Oh, whole
podcast. It
fucking
was
thing. We definitely did versions of that too, and that's where these machines help because they fuck with them. They have their things. There's no screen, there's no nothing, and then you just charge them with a cord. But they can do it, and it times out after 20 minutes. So we'll put that on. We'll do sound machine. We'll lay there, and I'll be like, I try to set the stage. I'm like, I'm gonna be here for 5 minutes.
mm.
Here's the deal, and then I gotta go because I'm like, I have to sleep too, or you're getting mad dad tomorrow, and nobody wins.
I don't get in my kids' beds because 'cause they're disgusting, and you might say, "Why don't you just wash your children's sheets?" And then I would say, "It's none of
Fuck
your
you.
business." Yeah.
Yeah, go fuck
Yeah.
yourself.
So James has boogers and nail clippings, I'm sure, in there, and then Paul will get these random nosebleeds that I can't keep up with, so there's, like, definitely blood stains in his
The
bed,
fucking
and
nail
so
clipping. Our oldest will sit in a chair in the kitchen with his feet up somewhere, clipping his nails. I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "It's going on the floor." And I'm
at
like,
least he's doing it.
"What?" Yeah, well,
Yeah,
there's that. Yeah, but
yeah.
I'm just like,
I've
just think about what you just said. Ew, it's going on the floor.
Yeah,
What?
I can't believe how mean I am to my kids. It's James. Paul really
Yeah,
never comes down, again, because
yeah,
he's good. But quickly I turn to, "I'm not here. I'm not talking to you. I'm
yep,
done.
yep,
I don't care. I'm not listening to you." And, yeah, it's the kind of thing where I'm like, "Wow, I wonder what it's like to be, like, a nice mom who, like, lays
yeah.
down and scratches her kid's back."
I will say I totally forgot part of mine. I was looking back on a note from my friends. I asked a bunch about their kids and their own sleep routines. And a friend of mine, a amazing science video game writer named Swapna, sent me like 67 tweets on hers, which includes a 30-minute on an acupressure mat in a dark room and a silk eye mask, weighted blanket, and Oslo white noise sleep buds, which is a Kickstarter I actually bought for Dana.
Mm,
And then my other friend down the hall, Rob, just wrote sleep gummies. And
mm,
I will say for myself, I think I've really found like when I was really dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety stuff, like Prozac really helps every day. And then I was doing like a Klonopin like every fucking night. And that was not a great flywheel. But I found these sleep gummies. They're the ones you can order online. Feals, Feals. And they've actually got sleep ones now. I did not love those because they gave me some weird fucking nightmares that I did not
mm,
love, which I do not usually have. But they're regular ones. One of those, I don't know what it is, 2.5 grams of fucking something, just turns my brain off enough that I can get to sleep. And
mm.
that's fine by me. Probably more regulated than melatonin, frankly, at this point. But that's a key part of my thing now. And I wish I could give it to my children.
I don't take anything usually to fall asleep. Once in a while, maybe if I know something's gonna be crazy, I'll take an Ambien, but my system does work pretty well. But Steve, one thing I'm like maybe dropping the bomb end of the pod is that we do not share a bedroom.
I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to normalize it. It was actually through Evil Witches because I interviewed some other women whose husbands, they just gave it up.
Is it snoring?
Yeah, snoring, but
Yeah.
also different sleep schedules. Like I like to go to bed early and wake up. I'm more of a morning person than he is. Like I don't mind the morning grind that much, even if I'm not necessarily in a good mood, up and at him. But he's more of a grump. He likes to sleep in. He's more of a sleep in princess. So it was during COVID when I was like, I think it was because we'd already had the kids. I could recognize the anxiety like coming down the pike. And I was like, if we want to make this marriage last, like we got to have separate bedrooms. And We never went back.
Can I ask you a couple questions about that? Was it like a realization in the moment, hey, we need to try this, or we need to do it? Like you're just saying, it's like the marriage depends on it, which is how sleep feels. And once you get serious about it, it's better for everyone, right? But had you tried it different nights because of snoring or different schedules and maybe quietly never really said to each other, maybe we should try this? Was there angst about the relationship? We're supposed to sleep in separate beds. You just talked about how you want to normalize it more. Like, there's so much shit that goes into that.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky that we have a guest bedroom. And so we would tend to sleep separately when somebody wasn't feeling well or had to get up super early, or someone was tossing and turning. And I would never feel sad about that. It always was like, good, like bed to myself. And so, and I have to see when I did this interview, but like talking to my other friends who do have separate sleep rooms, they're like, it's better for our relationship because we don't wake up mad at each other.
Yeah. My grandparents did it, and I remember it blowing my mind, and they were like, it's been untenable for 20 years.
I mean, we certainly have physical affection and time for that and, other places.
Probably more and better because you're fucking well rested.
Yeah. Also, I think a lot of women feel this way. Bedtime is not for like love time. Bedtime is for bedtime.
Oh, yeah. No, not in our house. Fuck no. There's been no like bedtime shenanigans at night for a very long time.
No, that's not what that's about. So it was a pretty easy decision, to be honest. I think, again, we had homeschooling, whereas one in preschool, one in second grade. Like his anxiety was off the charts. Absolutely. So I was like, this is level of anxiety that is very much like postpartum. And so I was like, this is the one thing that we can do.
This is something we can do. There's so fucking little when your kids are up or life and the anxiety and you can't change the world outside. I mean, again, like my buddy down the hall was like, oh, at least I can compartmentalize. I do this. I was like, my job is climate change and democracy. There's nothing to fucking compartmentalize. What you can control, if you have a guest room or a fucking futon, and if you can get over the cultural bullshit and say, I can control this. Why don't we try this? I think we might actually be better. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, and this was before even like perimenopause set in. And it's very much more controlled now that I have this machine. I mean, it's not cheap. It's called the Bed Jet. I love it so much. I take it with me when I travel. And it is so perilous, to sleep well. And there's commercials out there. There's a guy who does like nasal passage surgery, and they talk about in the radio commercials, like talk about sleep divorce and the tragedy of a sleep divorce.
Same thing from smoking and meat. It's the same goddamn people with the same advertising agencies. Look, I get it. And I think we both feel very lucky that we actually really not just enjoy, but really do very well with sleeping together. Because if one of us did and the other didn't, that would be frustrating, to say the least. And if neither of us did, then that's better. And you just go your fucking separate ways and you do whatever. We have a California king. Like there's miles of fucking room in there. But I feel very lucky about that, that we're on the same page. But at the same time, like we definitely have, it's such a life and business decision, sleep, and we both take it so seriously that if one of us has like a cough, because we're very lucky we don't really have snoring. If one of us has a cough, the other one's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
See ya. And the other one's like, great, good for you, good for me, everybody wins. Because the other one feels bad. Am I keeping him up? This and this. I know most people don't care. We do, but I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm taking my 9 pillows.
Do you have a sack like for carrying them all? Are you like,
no, I'm a guy. I'm like the groceries. I'm going to take them all in one trip and not make it through the stairs. But I'm not kidding. I take them all with me. I'm not fucking kidding.
No, I believe I took my special pillow with me when I gave birth.
Your one pillow.
Yeah, well, that's my hugging pillow. And
right,
then
I have 9.
And I always have to have a replacement. I have to have one on deck because they don't live forever. So
I do need
another one.
So that's really good.
It's funny because the more you grow up, the more you realize there's plenty of adults out there who have loveys.
It's fucking hard enough out there. Like yeah, of course I do. Are you fucking kidding? That's how I stockpile these fucking quilts from this crazy lady in LA. They're incredible.
When Paul was born, a friend of mine gave him a stuffed hedgehog. And for whatever, and kids get so many stuffed animals when they're born, and to the point where you're like, I don't need any of these. Like for some reason, the hedgehog like stuck. And so hedgehogs have kind of been his thing. And he has a main hedgehog, just named Hedgehog. And that's his like, yes, well, like why, reinvent the wheel. But a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine had a birthday party and a grown-up had a animal encounter like party. And Paul finally got to hold an actual hedgehog for the first time in his life. And I was like so pleased for him.
Oh, that's awesome.
That I was thinking about getting a hedgehog, and then I forgot that we have a terrier. I'm like, that's probably a bad idea. But I told him, I was like, You can have either a smartphone or a pet hedgehog. I think he's still going to go with the phone, but it was very, I was happy for him that all his like sleep totems could come together as one thing.
People say this shit, and we're so fucking good, especially in this country, about normalizing overwork and the sacrifice and the hustle and all this shit. And then other people are like, oh, sleep's a third of your life and you should pay for the good mattress and shit like that. It's like, you should. And most people in this country, like, fucking cannot. We make it hard. Most people cannot afford air conditioning, or they're renting and they can't control the circumstances of their room and the people upstairs and all this shit. If you are able to do that, you should do that, and you will be a better person and a better parent and a better citizen. Like, it's crazy. And especially as we get older, it makes such a fucking difference every day. It truly does. Because your baseline going to be exhausted. What? So if you can make that any better, great. You're not going to feel good. I'm never going to feel good again.
Right.
Like, I've come to terms with that.
But you could feel a lot better. Like, again, with the not drinking, I'm very pleased that I don't wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning being like, you're giving yourself breast cancer, you fucking idiot. And now you're going to think about it nonstop for an hour.
Best wishes. Head to notrightnow.show for more, or send us feedback, questions, horror stories, doxing, whatever it is, at questions@notrightnow.show.